Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I'm Kelly Stewart, joined by Drew Martin at Drew Martin Bets, and Teddy Covers at Teddy_Covers. Make sure you guys are giving them a follow on Twitter. So we're trying something new here at WagerTalk. Actually, forgot my promo code, $9 Monday at WagerTalk and sportsmemo.com. All daily packages for Monday's action, just $9. That includes any 5% best bets that would be normally priced at $40. So as I mentioned, we're going to try something new here at WagerTalk. We're going to do some look-aheads here in college basketball and the NBA. This is our NBA video in case you missed that. So we're going to start off with Sunday and actually move backwards. That way we don't have a stale video. Keep everybody watching all the way through. But if you're watching this on Sunday morning, don't waste your time. All right, Sunday. Indiana Pacers at the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets were my choice to win it all, Teddy. I was super high on this team to start the year. Talk to me about the Denver Nuggets and how you think they're going to match up against this Pacers team.
To win it all?
I know. Let's not talk about it. Like I said, I said that with kind of a sound of disappointment, so you could kind of...
Sure, I mean...
I thought this was your year because I knew that Golden State out of the Western Conference was going to be down.
Sure, and the Western Conference certainly isn't as deep as it was, but the Lakers and Clippers and Jazz and Rockets are all still pretty good.
Yeah.
And Denver ranks below all of those teams right now, especially given their injury situation. The Nuggets, we're recording this on Wednesday. You have Gary Harris who's banged up, and you have Jamal Murray who's banged up, and that's your starting backcourt. You want to talk player props? Maybe you look at some Jokic player props for over in this matchup for the Denver side for sure. If you have a backcourt that isn't healthy, other players are going to get shots, are going to create shots. But it's a Nuggets team that hasn't been a point spread juggernaut. What, they got 16 covers and 39 tries. They haven't been a nightmare.
Something like that.
But they've tended to play up or down to the level of competition. And Indiana is kind of an up game in that regard. Where Denver's had problems, big problems, is covering against the Hawks of the world.
And obviously, as I forgot to say this, sorry, so not obviously, we are taping this on Wednesday, so this is kind of a look ahead, so we don't have actual lines. The Nuggets still have to play the Hornets on Wednesday night. There's a couple other games to be played in between now and Sunday.
Sure.
But something to consider, you're right, they do. I'm looking at the Hornets game tonight. I don't expect them to play up to this level here. They might play up to the Pacers level, though, no?
Well, that's just it. Indiana's a step-up game.
Okay.
But Indiana's a one-way team for me. I really look at the Pacers as a squad with all kinds of positive potential as a bet-on team over the second half of the season. And I understand that Oladipo's not back yet. They've done very well in his absence. The question for this game is Sabonis. Miles Turner and Sabonis is an all-star. Or a borderline all-star for Indiana this year. And he's been doing it in relative obscurity. Warren and Brogdon are getting the headlines there. But that's a deep team, and that's a bet-on team, and I would expect to make money with the Pacers. And, of course, when we record a video like this early, it's about concepts. What teams are we looking to back? What ideas are we looking for?
This time last year, you and I talked about the Orlando Magic, and there was a good 3-week stretch there where the Magic were an awesome play-on team. So I always look forward to those kind of looking ahead type things, and you do think the Pacers are a play-on team.
Pacers are going to make us money over the second half of the season.
Okay.
Watch.
Perfect. All right, Drew, your thoughts on Sunday's basketball game?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of profile-wise, last 10, talk about streaks, teams heating up in both college basketball and NBA, Kelly. That's something that I try to focus on. And both Indiana and Denver kind of same profile in terms of last 10, but where I would go at this, and Teddy, you bring up a good point with the injury situation and player props. Thought you were onto something there with Gary Harris being doubtful for the game. For this game, to quote one of our great NBA handicappers, Ski Prophet, Kelly, who I know you know, he looks at rebounds very much because they tend to kind of be predictive in the future. And there's a little bit of a discrepancy here with Denver, 45 rebounds per game average, and Indiana only 40. Percentage-wise, that's a pretty big difference. It would lean me here towards Denver controlling the paint. I would look towards the Nuggets.
It's very important in NBA stats. When you're looking at rebound, make sure you're looking at a percentage of available rebounds website. Some of them have them, some of them don't, and you can sometimes find some very misleading rebounding info. So the info you're looking for is percentage of available rebounds, percentage of available offensive rebounds to give a chance of what they're doing on offense. For me, that's always super important.
Okay, great stuff, guys. Saturday, big game, the Lakers. Is LeBron playing in load management right now? I can't ever figure it out. This is my hardest thing about the NBA, is figuring out when they're going to set people and when they're going to start people. And I know that sometimes players are vocals and sometimes coaches are vocal. And sometimes you find out an hour before tip. So something also to keep in mind here. But the Lakers, as you mentioned, one of the better teams in the Western Conference, the Houston Rockets. Teddy, I'll start with you.
So from a conceptual standpoint, worrying about who's playing and who's not playing and not making bets based on that, you'll make yourself crazy. And sometimes you miss it. Look, so my goal was bet against Detroit. All right, I want to bet against Detroit, particularly at home. And I had the Pelicans the other night, and oh my God, Brandon Ingram's out now too, along with 4 other guys. And the line jumps from 1.5 to 5. And what happens? You know, they're up 16 in the fourth. They blow the whole lead. They still win it in overtime. All right, the Lakers. Last week in OKC, Anthony Davis and LeBron are going to be out. And the markets go crazy. And what happens? They didn't just win, they killed them.
Well, so then maybe the talking point is don't overreact to this.
Yeah, that's exactly the talking point is the markets go crazy, the pundits go crazy, everybody needs content, but much of what I like to do in NBA is ride teams or fade teams for, sometimes weeks at a time. And
I think that Magic trend that we had last year was like 9-1 or 10-1, and they had only not covered in that and they were all underdogs, and some of those underdogs cashing outright. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. So that is what I'm looking for now that football season's over, is for those little snippets from Mr. Covers over here.
Like the Pacers are the team we're looking to do stuff with. And we used to do stock watch videos,
Okay.
And to me that, I don't mind doing game videos. I don't mind doing stock watch videos, but they both make sense. But in terms of the Lakers here, and the injury front, the markets are going to go crazy on this stuff, and you hate taking the worst of the number. Like I did with the Pelicans. I bet them early in the day. I'm like, this is a good spot. I want this team. I want them in they can't be dogs in this game. And then boom, the line moves 3.5 points, and I'm like, oh crap, I got a crappy ticket. But I'm not betting it back. I'm just going to hold my bad number, and that's the way that it is, and let the chips fall where they may. So depending on who plays, is a big question mark. But the Lakers are a one-way team. We're not betting against the Lakers. Lakers are as good as anybody in the NBA. And the Rockets, this might be the Rockets game and Houston shooting, but, the stats show it, and it's really not even that close for me. If I'm not playing the Lakers, there's not a whole lot of games I'm looking to bet against them.
All right, Drew. I'm trying to look up a couple ATS stats myself, and as you mentioned, at least winning the game, the Lakers have been a powerhouse, about a 50-50 ATS team. Pretty much the same thing for the Houston Rockets here. Some of these bigger name teams I've noticed with the all-star lineups, they just don't cover, and that's because the markets know that people are going to bet on the big names and the big name teams.
That's a great point, Kelly. I mean, just their backing from the betting public is pretty big. I'll say a positive here for the Rockets. Just under 10 steals a game, playing aggressive defense of late in their last 10. But one factor I'm looking at here in the Lakers, and Teddy pointed to it, I mean, it's almost like a one-way team right now just because, 9 for their last 10 straight up. ATS not as good, but when you look at their percentages, both from the free throw line, which, I'm more in the college basketball betting arena here, and free throw percentages are so huge, and the Lakers are really knocking down their free throws. I think it correlates here in the NBA, plus the fact they're three-point shooting. I mean, double digits for their last 4 games. So they're just knocking down their shots, to Teddy's point.
All right, let's talk about a decent ATS team, and that is the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've been crushing this year, but they have to go to Miami, who's also been pretty hot. I was surprised by this Miami team. I'm sorry, Miami's going to OKC. Both good ATS teams. Drew, I'll actually kick it back to you. Tell me your thoughts on this one, and then we'll let Teddy finish it up.
Sure. You got the Heat on this road trip now. It's kind of been a rough little stretch here, their last 2 games, losing by margin ATS here against Brooklyn and New York, now having to travel to Oklahoma City. And OKC, speaking to the rebound percentages here, 46.8 to 39.5. Huge discrepancy there in the paint. I would look for that to continue. It'd be OKC or pass for me with them being at home.
Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, OKC's been the number 1 point spread team in the league. I got them at 27-13 ATS through the first 40.
That's pretty good.
They're not going to be 27 and 13.
No, the markets are going to adjust. We know
they already have.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, as we record here on Wednesday, there's OKC not getting a whole lot of respect against Toronto in the markets tonight. So I'm not firmly convinced that OKC is now an overvalued commodity. This team's good, and it's taken a long time for the markets to get there, and I'm still not convinced they're there 100%. Of the two teams, Miami is number 3, I think, ATS for the season after those 2 losses.
Yeah, they've been good.
And the one against the Knicks, where they lead in the fourth quarter and they'll give up 41, and the Knicks are draining threes, and that's one that stands out to me as something that you don't necessarily expect that to carry over. Miami, in some sense, is like Denver, where they have played down to the level of competition, particularly on the road. But they also have stepped up really well, and they've been dominant on their home floor. This one's in OKC, but this is a Heat team with Jimmy Butler and a bunch of known. Here, quick, name 3 players on Miami other than Jimmy Butler. Name 2.
Come on.
Now,
I don't watch enough NBA.
What are you guys?
Oh, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Dan Marino. I mean,
exactly.
You can go on and on.
But that's how anonymous they are. I mean.
I was like, yeah, Drew, tell me.
Right. Bam Adebayo is a borderline all-star. No one even knows his name.
I mean, I did say that about the Titans wide receivers this morning on a radio spot. I was like, A.J. Brown. And it's just kind of one of those things. You're right. When you're not a big superstar name, it is hard to remember some of these rosters, especially with 30-plus teams.
But it also makes me think that Miami may have overachieved a little bit over the first half of the campaign. Miami's roster is solid. When you compare them player for player with the other teams in the Eastern Conference, they look a good notch or 2 behind the Celtics and the 76ers and the Bucks of the world. But over the first half of the season, they played really well. They've taken a lot of teams by storm. I'm not convinced that'll continue over the back half of the campaign. I'm not going to be looking for as many spots to back Miami. They've been a very good team for me so far, but that's rearview mirror now. I too would probably look towards the Thunder in this one.
Okay, awesome stuff. $9 Monday. You get everybody's best bet at WagerTalk or SportsMemo.com. All daily packages for Monday's action, just $9. That includes any 5% best bets, normally priced at $40.